you hear the music, that means it's time for the podcast coming from Smokies Stadium. It's the latest edition of Wild Pitches. Harris and I will get together sometime soon, so in his absence, Richie Juliano, I'm Mick Gillespie. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a little different. We're usually in that booth over there, but it's a nice view up here, great view of the stadium from the press box, and I'm glad to be on our podcast.
Yeah, and if you don't know, Richie is my broadcast partner, Smokies Baseball Network, so maybe you watch on MLB TV. You can see it on MILB TV, Bally Sports. You can listen on the Sports Animal. You can listen on the Smokies app. This day and age, we just give you a lot of options to find our content, and this is Richie's first year with the Smokies, but it feels like we've been doing this forever. I mean, it really does.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun, Ever since I got here, we've had a great connection, and I think we've mixed it up on the broadcast. And we've had a lot of people enjoy it, been able to tweet at us. We always appreciate everybody that tweets at us because, that's what we do the broadcast for, the fans of the Tennessee Smokies and also the fans of the Chicago Cubs. So, it's been a great time, and I feel like you're right. We've had a great connection since we've been here, and, our broadcasts have been elite. I think one of the best in the Southern League.
Yeah, look, our goal is to make our broadcast the best in baseball, and I feel like we accomplish that a lot. We're not always perfect, but, we have a good time, and we try to make people laugh. And, in a day and age where a lot of minor league teams, really don't emphasize their broadcasts, we do here with the Smokies, and so it's been an honor working with Randy and Jenny Boyd. 10 years they've owned the team. I've been here and I don't even know how many years, but the Haslams owned it when I got here. They were easy to work for. Randy's awesome. Jenny's awesome. Doug Kershaw for Chris Allen. Chris really believes in broadcasting and baseball. It kind of goes hand in hand. That's what made us both fall in love with the game. You grew up in Ohio, and we're going to talk about that in a second, and I grew up in Baltimore, but we listened to the radio a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. That's how I got into broadcasting, was listening to Tom Hamilton, who was the voice of the Cleveland Indians, now the Guardians, and I fell in love with the game by listening to it on the radio. I think there's something special that really connects this game to listeners back home because it paints the picture for everybody. It's a slow-moving game, so that also allows for personality to shine on the air. And it's not like basketball. When you call that game, it's fast-moving. You don't really get to put your own opinions out there, but we get to cover so many topics every day that people just love to hear about, and that's the beauty of this game, is the in-between pitches and the in-between at-bats.
Hey, guys, as we talk to you on Wild Pitches, Episode 9, please do me a favor, like and follow at Smokies Baseball. You can always get tickets, 286-2300 or smokiesbaseball.com, but make us part of your day. Our broadcast on the Sports Animal, or you can watch it or whatever. But it's just a lot of fun to talk every day and kind of get into what's going on in the world of baseball. But let's talk about you for a little bit and kind of how you got to Smoky Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I knew you. It was introduced to you through former Jackson Generals broadcaster, really, Jackson Diamondbacks. Ron Potesta, good friend, very funny guy, does a great Harry Carey impression. And when he left the league, he moved back to Youngstown. That's where he's from, and that's where you're from.
Yeah, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. Went to Youngstown State University to study sports broadcasting with a minor in journalism, and that's where Ron and I connected because we called games on ESPN Plus for the Youngstown State women's basketball team, and luckily I was able to connect with Ron, and he was able to connect with you, and that's how I landed here in Tennessee. So it was a great connection. But Ron is a character. In between every break, he would do something with Harry Carey, and he would just make everybody behind the scenes laugh because he nails it. He's so good at impersonating Harry Carey.
Yeah, he is. He used to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game with the giant Harry Carey glasses on every game. He just brings a lot of humor to the job. He doesn't take himself very seriously, and that's good,
Yeah.
And then, he's fun. He's a good friend. And so when he said, hey, I got this guy, if there's a spot, we were lucky to get you. And you came in with a ton of experience. A lot of times as people have come and gone, and we've had some great partners over the years, the fact that you did 4 years of college baseball, and you did it on the regular radio station, because Youngstown doesn't have a sports network for baseball. So you were with the flagship station, and you got to call a lot of games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to call all the home and road games, which is very uncommon.
As a freshman, you started?
I started as a freshman. I didn't travel till my junior season when the station started to recognize that, we were legit and, we wanted to do this full time. It wasn't just, hey, when we're home, we wanted to travel and be a part of the team on the road. And I also wanted that experience for myself because, outside of going on vacation to Florida, I really haven't had much travel experience until I got that opportunity. So my junior season, when I was in college, the station decided to get some extra ads for the team. And we were able to travel across the country, and we flew all over from Texas down to North Carolina where we were. Saw Wake Forest play before I got here to Tennessee. So I was all over the country traveling, not just non-conference, but also in the Horizon League. And I was the only traveling broadcaster in our league.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm very grateful for the station and for the team who also let me travel with them on the bus everywhere that we went because, in college baseball, it's not like football. You're not getting chartered flights everywhere. You're traveling long hours on buses. So we would take a trip up to Milwaukee, and it would be a 10-hour bus ride.
Right.
I mean, you got to go through Chicago, and everybody back in Chicago knows how crazy the traffic can be, especially around 5 o'clock.
Right.
So we would get stuck there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and those trips are they kill you. They're long and they're dreadful at times, but I think that experience really helped me in the long run because it kind of teaches you to work hard and you got to get through adversity.
Yeah, well, too, at your age, as a young guy, I mean, it's kind of fun to do those trips.
Yeah, it is.
It's not like you got a family and kids at home that you're missing. It's like, hey, I get to get on the bus. I talk about baseball, watch movies. Like be around the team. I learned a lot about baseball on the bus. I spent a lot of trips sitting behind people like Dennis Llewellyn and Ryan Sandberg and Pat Listash and guys that had full careers. And I know this is different than college baseball, but. I worked with Jim Wells at Alabama, and he's one of the all-time greats at that school. So it is fun. Like, it at one point. Okay, the worst part of being on the bus is if you have to go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the worst part. You just throw that out there. There is a bathroom on the bus, but it's not as easy as you think to get back to the bathroom.
Yeah, it's an adventure. You're climbing over legs, you're tapping people, waking them up. Everybody's mad at you.
Yeah.
Because you got to go from front to back. The broadcasters are never sitting in the back.
No, we're always up front.
You're always up front. So you got to climb through 36 rows. It's almost like a jungle gym.
I know. And what you try to do is you try to hold it long enough so that when you do go, you're not going back again. Because they'll let you get away with the first trip. But when you make that second trip right after the first trip, which happens sometimes, then you're a pariah. No one likes you anymore.
And taking a number 2 is a no-no. No. Can't do it.
It's not. It's a lot like the press box. If you do that, you're out of bounds.
Yeah.
There's one bathroom up here where we work, and it's really just to kind of get by. Mm-hmm. You don't do your main business there. You just go in and kind of kick it and get out. But yeah, you're right. Like it would have to be, and I never did. All my years, I never did that. It would have to be an absolute emergency.
Yep.
And I don't even know if I still would do it.
I couldn't do it. No. Just because if you're that guy, nobody's going to respect you anymore.
No.
And they're going to lock that bathroom when you go back there.
Well, and if that happened, you got two routes. You pretend it didn't happen, or you own it.
Yeah.
You just own it. You just come out like, hey,
this just happened.
Yeah, like
it had to happen.
Let's all just kind of be mad at me. I'll be mad at me too.
Yeah. Just point the finger at me for this awful experience the rest of the way home.
That's life on the bus. We don't really travel on the bus much. I mean, and there's 2 buses now in our league. But during COVID, they didn't want us on the bus. Mm-hmm. And I kind of enjoy having my own ride, when I go on the road. And I know it just makes it a lot easier because there's only, they take 2 buses to the stadium. They're normally really early. We can do a lot of the work that we do prepping for games at the hotel or wherever we're at. You know,
Yeah.
you could go to a restaurant and sit down and work on stuff and not be there. My philosophy is this, and I know that you're kind of developing yours, is I feel like if I'm at the ballpark too long, I lose interest in what's going on, and then it's hard to get refocused when the game starts.
Yeah. No, I feel that at times. Like, you know, usually I'm here early, sometimes 10, 11, you know, on a bad day 12. But you're right, and it's a long day too. Like, you know, you're running around constantly. You're going up and down stairs. By the time it hits 6 o'clock, you're just gassed. But, you know, like you kind of said earlier, I'm still young, so I just have a ball of energy at all times. But, no, you know, I get that 100%. Like, if you're here all day, you know, sometimes it takes away the beauty of the ballpark and the beauty of the game because, you know, you sit around it long enough, you're like, oh, okay, you know, it's just another game. But, you know, you show up around 3, 4 o'clock, you're energized, you're ready to go. You know, everything's fresh, right? You know, it's kind of like when you leave a sandwich out for an hour. And you're like, you know, this looked really good about an hour ago, but now it doesn't look appetizing.
The bread's hard now.
Yeah,
you know?
the bread's hard and it just doesn't look as
mayonnaise
good.
is like, you know,
It's still edible.
hot, but yeah, well, it could be dangerous too.
Could be.
Yeah, when you start out, you know, doing it the right way, it's like learning how to do all of the intricacies that go along with what we do, you know. And I oversee a department that's not just getting on the air at 6 o'clock and broadcasting, and you're a big part of it. You know, we take care of all of the baseball media. And so we're constantly dealing with that. That includes getting the lineups out. That includes doing game notes and stat packs and writing a post-game story and, you know, and a lot of other little odds and ends that, you know, aren't doing play-by-play, but they're kind of part of what we all do together.
Yeah, and then, you know, it's a lot, like you said, rosters every day. And sometimes there's late changes, like we had the other day in Chattanooga.
Yeah, 5 minutes before the game. Hey, guess what? We got a guy. He's going to be pitching.
Yeah.
We don't know who the roster move is, but guess what? There he is. Hey, enjoy the game, guys.
So, I mean, it gets hectic at times.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of pressure when it comes to getting stuff out there because it's important for the stat keeper, for all of us up here in our booth and in the studio as well. So, you know, there's a lot of pressure that goes with this job when it comes to the 6 o'clock hour, right? If you get some stuff done before that, you feel good, you're comfortable, but, you know, some things just happen drastically because that's the game of baseball. But yeah, it's a lot. You know, it's dealing with radio ads as well, running around and availability with our media. You know, we've been up and down in the clubhouse trying to get guys to do interviews with different stations and different newspapers. So you have to have a really good connection with the clubhouse in order to have this job because if you don't, your life's going to be really hard. And, you know, it's not just the clubhouse, it's all of us up here in the press box, making sure the lineups are done. The game notes, like you said, got to be detailed every single day. We do a daily Smoky, which I think is important to the fans. If you're lucky enough to get here early, we usually hand out about 80 to 100 of those, which is a daily program that we do. And, you know, it details the game and it gives you a little stats for the game, and you could also score it in that booklet. So, you know, there's a lot that goes on that a lot of people don't think about, right? I mean, they say, oh, you get to broadcast baseball. That's great. Yeah, it is great, but there's also 5, 6, 7 tasks a day that need to be done in order to make our broadcast as smooth and as good as it is.
So tell me what you have thought about your time here so far with the Smokies and in professional baseball.
Yeah, I really love it. You know, I think this league is one of the most talented leagues I've ever been in. The talent you see go up to the next level. You know, we've already had a guy get called up to Chicago. Probably going to be a couple more Smokies that are going to get an opportunity either late this year or early next season. And, you know, this is a great place to be. These cities are awesome. These stadiums are all old. You know, Montgomery was a great stadium because it just brought back that old time feeling of baseball.
I loved it.
They got the railroad tracks in left field. The train comes through. Just an older brick stadium. It was actually a site for an old Confederate prison. So,
I know.
You know, there's a lot of history in this league.
And a
which
whistle
is really
stop, too,
Yeah.
which I thought was cool. Birmingham's is like downtown, and they kind of revitalized that whole area around it. You know, Rocket City's pretty new. And then Chattanooga and the Smokies are both getting new stadiums in 2025, which is crazy because they both opened in 2020. So they're like we're like a mirror image of each other.
Yeah, the in-state rivals here in Tennessee,
Yeah.
always trying to outdo one another. But I think the people really make this place special, right? I think everybody here in the Smokies organization has been fantastic to me.
It's fun to work here.
Yeah, it's really just fun to work because, they're not nitpicking us. We could do whatever we want on the broadcast because they trust us and they know that we're going to do the right thing. So it makes it a lot easier for us to do our job. And everybody that has been here and has really helped me out has been phenomenal, especially during that first week. It was a tough time for me because you were gone, and there were things that I didn't know how to do.
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's good.
And
it's a good topic.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on bringing that up, but now that you mention it, that is pretty funny.
Yeah, I get the text the night before our game, so that would be April 5th, saying,
Tell 'em, yeah.
hey, we're going to have one of the best broadcasts in the world tomorrow. I'm all amped up because this is going to be my AA debut and my minor league debut. So, I'm grinning. I'm ready to go. I get up super early, probably the earliest I've been up all season long.
Like I've waited all these years for this.
I've waited all these years for this. There's people that have denied me. I'm here to prove a point.
Right.
And then I get here and I get the text. It was around like 10, 11 a.m. It says, hey, I'm not feeling too good. I might not be able to come in.
You're thinking like this.
And I'm just like,
this is like this guy, Mick Gillespie, but he just calls out of work.
but then
He's a caller-outer, right?
I find out like a week later that was like the first game you missed in like years.
For being sick. I've
Yeah.
never, really what you guys didn't know is I woke up on opening day and something just wasn't right. And then eventually George Yardley took me to the hospital and my appendix was rupturing, and it was just like, unbelievable. I was like just begging for medicine and for somebody to get in there and take it out and, and hoping that it went well. And, they're like saying, hey, there's a chance that you might die, you might have a stroke or a heart attack or this. And I'm like, hey, just get this thing out. Let's just do this. But you did great. The funny thing is like, you didn't even know how to open the window. Like,
No.
I was going to show you all this stuff.
I didn't know how to open the window. So we start the day off great. And then I'm trying to figure everything else out. I'm like, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? I get the game notes done. I'm having trouble with the printer.
Right.
I can't print anything out right now.
Right.
And I can't call you because,
No,
you're struggling. You're out. So then I hook up the equipment. And I'm pushing buttons at this point. I'm just like, okay, I think this is it. This is what I got to push up. Do I turn this knob to get
I'm in the
sound?
fetal position
Yeah.
in my bed full of opiates and morphine and stuff. So like this, not very helpful.
So I finally hear some sound, right? And then we do our tests with the radio station back in Knoxville with our studios. And then it was opening day, so we were doing a test with MILB TV.
Right.
Station was good back on the Sports Animal. They couldn't hear us at all on MILB TV. So I'm like freaking out. And so we did a test at 5 o'clock, good. Did a test at 6 o'clock, good. This is around 6:30.
Right, when it's just too late.
It's too late. And they're like, oh, we don't hear you at all. And I'm like freaking out. I'm sweating bullets, freaking out like, oh my gosh, if we don't get this over the air, like Mick's going to kill me. It's going to be
Mick
terrible.
just worried he didn't want to die himself.
I'm like, I'm going to get canned on the first day. I might as well
You
just
had
pack
nothing to
up and
worry
go
about.
back. But luckily, it turned out great. We got on air, and Ben and I were doing the game, and that was another thing too, because that was the first time that Ben and myself have worked together. I just met Ben 2 days before in the studio when we went through everything there.
Ben Slotnick? I didn't
Yeah.
even realize that. So you and Ben did the game.
Yeah, Ben and I did the game.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. Good.
Yeah, so
shows
that
you
was-
what I know. I got there Thursday. They were like, "We want to do surgery now," and then they're like, "Well, your white blood cells are too high. We can't do it." And so, it was just like a miserable,
Ugh.
night just waiting for the 8 o'clock to come. Where they were like, "Well, we're going to try to do it at 8 if things," and they're just pumping me with stuff. I wasn't worried. Look, if you guys didn't do the game at all, I really didn't care at that point. It didn't matter to me. I was just honestly just praying that I didn't die.
Yeah.
I told you the night before, you're going to be part of the best one of the best broadcasts in the world, and which is true. Doesn't matter where you're at. your work is your work, right? And there's a lot of box checkers that are getting opportunities because of whatever reason. And nepotism's big in broadcasting, and stuff like that. But your work speaks for yourself. You can throw people anywhere you want to throw them, and you can give them opportunities that maybe they don't deserve. But at the end of the day, it's all about, hey, if you put you put the game on and you watch it or you listen to it, the work's going to speak for itself.
Yeah. I'd 100% agree with that. And I think that we take a lot of pride in what we do. We're here early. We're trying to find things that we could talk about on a daily basis that, not just
Fun
entertain
stuff.
us, but entertain everybody back watching this and listening to our broadcast. The broadcast really isn't for us. It's for our fans.
Yeah.
And, we're trying to deliver the best piece of, one, entertainment, and two, information as we can. Because there's a lot of people that love to listen to games because they're entertaining.
Yeah.
And they love to laugh. And there's other people that love to listen to games because they want to hear about the players, want to hear their stats, they want to hear how they're doing. Especially Cubs fans, we get a lot of people on Twitter and other social media outlets that are constantly tweeting at you asking, hey, how's Casey doing? How's Pete Crow Armstrong doing? Because they care about the Cubs so much that they know that there's a future down here in Tennessee, and there's a lot of good names that we have down here.
Yeah, diehard Cubs fans, and I put myself in that category as well for a long time, and being around the team is just so much fun. Obviously I would love to be doing it at Wrigley, but we're here right now and we're going to make the best of it. And I agree with you. One of the differences I feel like between the way that we conduct business and some of the other teams is we're not doing this for just the players' families. We care about them and we want them to really have a good time and like our broadcast, but there's an audience of people in our Cubs fans and then in Knoxville too, that have grown up listening to the games on radio, people that maybe were from here and then they just kind of tune in because they like it. And we're competing with the Atlanta Braves, we're competing with the Cincinnati Reds, who have guys that I know doing their broadcasts and are really good, but that's where the fan bases are for the most part in this area. You got Reds fans and Braves fans and other fans too, but so you have to do a broadcast that's equally as good or better. And what we try to do, knowing that the Cubs really haven't been over the course of the last 10 years really, and not counting this year and last year, but overall, just throwing the blanket out, that they haven't given us very competitive teams, and so this year's actually been competitive. Last year we got to the championship game, but there's not a lot of emphasis in the Cubs organization to win. Our fans want to win. Yeah. So if you're not going to put a winner out on the field, then the way that we're going to win over our fans is we're going to have a great experience at the ballpark. And as far as we're concerned, and this, it's let's have a good time doing it. Let's make people laugh. Let's tell them something that they didn't know. The other day, Chattanooga walked 6 straight batters, and we get into a topic about the largest catfish that was ever caught in Tennessee, and it's like, I don't know how much else we can talk about this, but they just walked 6 guys in a row, and it's the Tennessee record, which was 122.3 pounds of catfish.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's a big catfish.
That is. I've never caught anything probably over.
But think about freshwater catfish. I mean, that's something like if you go out in the Gulf or you go out, in the ocean and you catch those. But I mean, it'd be a great big fish. But there's bigger out there. Freshwater. I mean, can you imagine that thing in the freshwater? Every other fish in there is probably glad that thing's gone. Or it was just so big it just didn't swim a lot.
Yeah,
it just kind of laid at the bottom. It's a big fish. But that's part of what it is, every day just trying to find that thing that, you might be able to drop in there and talk about.
Yeah, you really never know what we're going to talk about, but that's the beauty of the game, too, because, there's some games where it's very serious, it's a 3-2 game, and
it's fun.
You're sticking to it, it's
like
fun.
This. You just stick to the game, and you don't have to worry about feeling.
And then there's other games where it's 13-3, and you're talking about dinosaurs and whatever catfish you're eating for dinner. It's just, but that's the beauty of this game. Like I said earlier, in basketball, I called a lot of basketball when I was back in Youngstown. you're just talking about the game. You really don't get to throw any stories out there. There's not much information being tossed out to you about the players because it's so fast moving. Here it's so slow, and you have so much time to break down everything that's not just happening on the field, but around the country, around the world.
Yeah.
So that's why I love baseball, though, because of the pace and because of the storylines that you get to share.
Yeah, that's one of the big things about it that I like broadcasting too, and what we're noticing is that the medium's changing a lot. I like straight radio. I mean, I really do. I like the theater of the mind, and that's what got me into loving this, was listening to Chuck Thompson and then John Miller when they were Orioles broadcasters and I was a kid, and then when I got XM radio, being able to just tune in to everybody, which was unbelievable to me at the time. Vin in LA, and Ernie Harwell in Detroit, and Jack Buck in St. Louis, and I just love that era of broadcasting, and that's what I try to bring to the table every day. But I know that it's a lot more visual now, particularly in this league. Every time you do a home game, it's not a straight radio broadcast. It's hybrid, where you're throwing a video out and you're calling it on radio. So to me, it's a little bit different.
It is, yeah. I mean, when we're on the road, very descriptive, true radio broadcast. Yeah. But you're right. When we're at home, I feel like we get a lot more hits sometimes on our clips that they post. Like, a lot of these guys are blowing up on social media. When you have the number one prospect here for the Cubs, they love to watch what he's doing. So it's very important for us to deliver that hybrid type of broadcast, like you were saying, where it's not overwhelming when you're listening to it on the MILB TV or wherever you may be watching the game. So it's interesting because I've never had that type of experience before, where I've had to carry a radio broadcast, but knowing at the same time it's also going to be simulcasted on a different outlet. Like when I was doing games at Youngstown State, when I was doing baseball, we're only on the radio. We weren't on ESPN Plus. When I was doing volleyball and basketball, we were only on TV. So this is truly the first time it's a hybrid for me, which it takes some time getting used to, but you just try and do the best you can, because you never want to over talk the broadcast. Like when I'm watching games on TV and the guy's just blabbering the whole time, I'm like, all right, can I just watch the game?
Gotta let it breathe.
Yeah, you gotta let it breathe a little bit, but it's hard when you're on the radio and you don't want to let it breathe.
Right.
And then you're also on TV where it's like, oh my gosh, well these guys just shut up.
I know. And what surprised me the most about just this, getting into this as a career, is the people that hire at the next level. You would think that they would kind of have an understanding of what we do, but they don't. Like their understanding is more like dealing with sponsors and trying to appease the the front office and then and the fans maybe and it's like I've totally been blown away by how much I don't like the product in a lot of places now, because I don't feel like it's what appeals to me. It's like I like the personalities. I loved Howard Cosell, who was a broadcaster that was very opinionated. Opinions don't bother me. Harry Carey was my favorite TV guy. And I think that's what makes it interesting, is when people aren't afraid to to say what they think and tell the truth. But I know not everybody likes that, and like kind of at the next level, there's a lot of fear because somebody might complain, and it's like the 3% or 1% of voices that have a complaint normally have a complaint about everything.
Yeah.
But we've let them dictate kind of the direction that the broadcasting goes. And I guess one of the reasons why you're a lot younger than me, but we see things so similarly is because you listen to Tom Hamilton, who's old school. He's great.
Very opinionated.
He tells it like it is.
Yeah, and I also miss kind of like the homerish type of broadcast. I feel like a lot of these regional networks have gone away from that. Everybody has to be excited for everybody else, and I don't like that.
No.
If I'm watching, Cleveland, I want to hear, those guys be excited when we hit a home run and not excited when, they hit a home run. Like, I love listening like to Gary Thorne.
Yeah, I do too.
He used
Where's
to be
he at
like
now?
that. I don't know.
He
where
was with
now.
Baltimore.
He was in Baltimore.
But they got rid of him.
They got rid of him, and I don't know why, because he was one of the best to do it. But his voice and his name out there was one of my favorite guys to watch, just because he brought that homerism to Baltimore. Like, he loved it when Baltimore would win, and he would hate it when the Yankees would beat him. And he wouldn't be afraid to say, "Why are we pitching to this guy?" Like,
Right.
I remember Gleyber Torres a couple years ago, like, tore up Baltimore, and he was screaming in the microphone, like, "What are we doing?
Yeah,
Why are we pitching to this guy?" But it's like, that's what I love, because that's what I'm feeling at home.
I know.
It's like, when I would sit there and I'd watch Cleveland when I was at home, I would scream at TV. I'd be like, what are we doing? Like, why do we have this guy out there? And I feel like I could connect to the broadcast because they felt the same way I did. Nowadays, it's completely different. It's like nobody voices their opinion out there.
Yeah.
They don't want to make anybody upset. And, it's just kind of the way the business has gone. And a lot of guys are very vanilla with how they deliver the game.
Yeah, right. And then they wonder why, like, they're going bankrupt.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to draw in people by the, thousands and thousands, just playing it straight down the middle. I agree with you. I mean, like, there was a big debate on Twitter recently where a guy that covers the Cubs was basically like, he misses that, you know? And everyone was chiming in, and I said this, look, it's up to the broadcaster. And I don't know what the right way is or the wrong way is, but I know that when you cover a team, the team pays you, and the fans of that team pay them.
Yeah.
Right? So that's who you work for. And I don't know how we've kind of gotten off of this, like, where we forget that, like, we're the voice of the fan. That doesn't mean that you're disrespectful. That doesn't mean that you cheer for somebody to get hurt on the other team, or you don't respect the game and all that stuff, because that's not how I've ever done it, and that's not how you do it. But it's like, I'm excited when our team does well.
Yeah.
That's what I got into this for. I can remember getting chills when someone would hit a big home run in a big spot, or, a big play was made, or how disappointed I was, crushed really, when Steve Bartman got in the way of the Moises Alou, back in 2003, and it was like, it was just heartbreaking, like I was depressed for months.
Yeah.
Just that whole thing, and spending all that time with Harry and Steve after school on TV, or Chuck and Brooks Robinson, who Chuck became friends with. I became friends with Chuck. That doesn't mean that you don't give a little something to the other team when they do, make big plays. And part of that is that they'll take our call and put it on their page and stuff.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be like, there's that high ball to left field. That's a home run. I mean, you got to do it. But when your guys score,
I mean, you got
nothing better, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Isn't that what this is our work shirt today? But isn't this what you get into that for?
I was gonna say, hey, we're wearing this today. So I mean,
we don't normally match except when we work together.
Yeah.
I agree, man. I agree. I wish that that some of the exec. I wish maybe I should just quit broadcasting and get into the executive part of it, because I'm worried about the future of our business, because they have watered down the product so much, just like my Diet Coke from McDonald's. Yeah, it's not like it was. Like, you have to listen to Tom Hamilton every day. You got to turn him on. He's part of your family.
Yeah, he is. Like, I would put him on in the kitchen. And,
in the car.
Yeah,
in the bathroom, going to bed. Like, I got the radio.
Yeah, I got a transistor radio. My mom bought it for me for my birthday, and I would listen to the game before I went to bed. You're right. It almost feels like he was like my uncle or something, because I listened to him every day. It's like, I listen to Tom Hamilton sometimes more than I would listen to my mom.
Yeah, right.
Like,
that's how it was with John Miller.
Stuff he would say about not just like the game, but life in general. And you not only like listen to the game and you love it and you become a fan of the team, but you also like learn things from listening to him. So it was great to have that type of role model in Northeast Ohio, where I could turn on the radio at any time and listen to him.
Yeah.
I think we're getting away from that, where a lot of broadcasters now just, they go out there and they check the boxes like you're talking about, and if they do that, they're going to keep their job.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think everybody's now afraid of losing their job because of what's happening in this industry. You make one mistake and you're gone.
Yeah, look, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about what I believe being inclusive is. I think being inclusive is welcoming everybody. Mm-hmm. And that's what, me. I mean, I love that. I love what I like is the visual of having all of these people sitting at the bar with us, and we're just like watching the game and talking.
Yeah.
We're not talking. We don't get into politics. We're not going to get into anything other than maybe this guy out of the bullpen in this spot. Like the politics that we're going to get into are why didn't we use this guy in this inning?
Yep.
We're going to have fun and really and I want, and this I've said this before for years, is that I want the mom that's driving their kid to Little League to like our broadcast. I want the grandmom and the granddad that grew up on baseball liking our broadcast. I want the scout that's out here, clocking, liking our broadcast, and the former softball star and, baseball player. I want everyone to feel like when they tune into us that the only thing that they're going to get out of it is they're going to listen to a great game, whether the team stinks or they're good, and they're going to have some laughs and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about entertaining, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's
entertaining everybody.
Yeah, that's the difference between different levels in broadcasting too. Like when I was doing games at Youngstown State, I wasn't so much as an entertainer as I was here. I'm trying to find different stories to talk about, make people laugh. When I was there, I was doing it strictly for the parents because I knew they were
your audience.
They were my audience.
Yeah, right. So and that's smart.
It's knowing your audience.
Yeah. How many times have I said that to you?
Like they don't really care about what's going on in Major League Baseball. They want to hear about how little Goodie's doing. Like their little grandson or whatever. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's different audiences that you have to reach, and I think that we strive to reach all of them every day. You never know who's listening. I picked that up. There will be people down there that I'll meet on the concourse that listen. It's really cool to hear that our voice is reaching out to thousands of people across the area. When we're on the road and you're calling the game, it's cool to turn on the radio and turn on 990 and drive in the car and listen to you.
Yeah,
it's like really cool.
Man.
Like you don't really think about it until you do it. Like, wow, I'm on the radio. And this is not just a station that's local in Knoxville. I mean, you were telling me that you were out in Alabama and you could still hear it.
Yeah, I've listened to you guys doing the post-game show.
Yeah.
When I try to get out of there fast so that I can get to the car and tune it in just to hear, what you guys sound like. And I've been really impressed with our sound, all of our guys, not just us two, but Ben and Elvis and well, his name's Sam, but his middle name's Elvis, and you can't come to Tennessee and hide your middle name.
No.
You can't when it's Elvis. No, you can't do it.
He should have just introduced himself as Elvis.
Yeah, hey, the kid might never be known as Sam again.
He's not Sam.
At one point, I was Michael Gillespie, and then somebody threw Mick on me, and it just when a name sticks, you just roll with it.
Yep.
But great point, man. I didn't know we were going to talk like broadcasting philosophy, but knowing your audience, and I did 10 years of spring training for the Cubs too, and it's a different type of broadcast there because it's major league, and you have fans that like you've got the same team every year. Everybody knows these guys. They want the stories about the players, and you hope that the team's not so bad that you have to get into the state record for the biggest catfish. So you move up there, and you may like it's a lot easier, right? You may have a partner that, like I worked with Len Casper, who's with the White Sox now, but he had a lot of stuff to talk about, and he loved the Andy Griffith Show. And I love the Andy Griffith Show. So that would always be something that we would talk about on there. You probably never even seen it.
No, I haven't.
But we would get into people that like it. It's an old school show, but we talk about it. But you find those things that make you laugh. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, not being afraid to self-deprecate. To make fun of yourself, to laugh at yourself. Like I would say stuff, and I knew when I said it, I was setting him up to, give a little, come in with a little karate chop. I would say something purposely kind of just like to leave it out there for him. And he was so good at it, and not being mean about it, but being funny about it. We had that type of personality, and you and I have a different type of personality, but it's good too. I kind of ask you questions. You say you didn't know Andy Griffith, and then that would be a whole conversation on the air. And how do you not know Opie? How do you not know
the Goose Band?
Goose, the band, right? It's just that's the fun thing about being on every day. It's the game's really important, and we never lose focus with the game. But with the pitch clock now, it's a lot faster. I think that's made the game easier to call, and and it's not so tedious. But it used to be, you would want to time and catch every single pitch.
Yeah.
Like here's the 1-1 strike. Now you just talk.
You just talk.
go.
Yeah.
You don't have time for it anymore, which is fine. Maybe pause like right before the pitch.
Yep.
But I've enjoyed that a ton.
I love the pitch clock. I think it makes the game a lot better, especially because I came from a place in the draft league where there was no pitch clock.
Right.
The starter was only allowed to throw 4 innings max. That was a rule in the league.
Wow.
Because they wanted to get every guy exposure.
Right.
Because there's a lot of scouts for Major League Baseball that would be in the crowd. So they try to get as many guys opportunities as possible. So every night these games were at least 3 hours. Because there's so many pitching changes. Sometimes there was sloppy play, and these kids were still young in college. So, I come from a place where the games took a while, and I was talking about anything. I mean, we would talk about the caskets in New Orleans being above the ground because
right.
of the sea level. But that's just random things we would push out there every single night because those games would take forever. And to watch games at this level where plays that should be made are being made, and the pace of the game is just so much better. I think as a fan, it's just so much more enjoyable. You don't have to sit out there in the hot sun for 3.5 hours. You could get out at a reasonable time, and you could still do something after the game some nights. Friday to Saturday, you could still go out and have a great time after this game.
All right, the elephant in the room, and you haven't brought it up, is my mustache. And I got to throw that up there. Now look at that guy right there. You see that? Guess who that is?
Is that your pops?
Yeah. Yeah. I've never had a mustache. Like, this is like weak, but my dad had one.
Yeah.
It looked just like him, right?
You look just like him.
I don't know how long this is going to stay, but it's been fun. Like, I grew the goatee, and then I'm doing the mustache. I've got some stuff coming up that I'm going to have to shave and cut my hair. But, man, I've been here so long. Like, it was just kind of like, I'm going to let my hair down for one summer and kind of see what that's like.
I saw that picture that Randy Boyd posted on Twitter.
Yeah.
Him in the booth, and you had, like, the
short hair.
The button-down shirt, the short hair, clean shaven.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, when we were talking before I got here, it was always over the phone. I never really met you in person, and you go on Twitter, you look at past pictures, and it's like, oh, this is what he looks like, whatever. You try and, like, everybody comes up to you, oh, this is what you look like? I was hearing on the radio, but that's what you look like?
I had no idea that you were one of these guys, though.
They're always like, I thought you were like 220 pounds.
No, is that what your mom said that? Did she think I was a heavy set guy?
No. But that's what people always say.
I have been before.
That's like the stereotype for radio guys, they're all they're all big and fat.
Yeah. And we got great voices. Coming up next.
It's
on
the hot dog eating
K100.
contest.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. We're going to play a hit coming up here from Led Zeppelin.
But anyway, I get to the stadium the first day, and I meet you, and you got the long hair, and I'm like, is this the guy I was talking to?
I know. Can you believe that?
I know.
I'm going to have to cut it.
No.
It's coming. But I've enjoyed it. I've got stuff coming. You got to do. But you know what? Once in a while, I think it's good to it's good for the health of your hair to just let it go.
Well, your son's got the same hair.
My son does. Yeah, and so, one of the differences between now and when I started, was, and I didn't have an 11-year-old, and so it's been great to, slide off every now and then, and you do the games, and Ben and Rory get up there with you, and I do the same thing. Like, I tune you guys in and try to be a dad a little bit. It goes by so fast, man. And there's a lot of parents out there that are probably saying the same thing. Like, it's like he was born yesterday, and then all of a sudden, he's like he's 5, and then all of a sudden he's talking, and then he's in school, and then now he's going into 6th grade. You know. But you guys make it so easy because I know like it's going to be a great show whether I'm in there or not.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of talent across our entire crew. You know, we brought in a lot of good names. Ben returned from last year. He was the only returner, you know. And then, new faces. Rory and myself have had a great time here. We're roommates here in Knoxville, and we've had a great time, both in the booth, off the booth. And, Elvis down here has done a great job since he's been here. And, I think that he's learned a lot. That's kind of our job.
Arizona State.
Yeah.
Arizona State Elvis.
And he's been in the studio getting on-air experience and, getting to travel with Ben to Chattanooga with yourself. And, I guess that's why we brought in a lot of these, good names. Jacob Woods is another guy that's been instrumental to our crew. So, I just think we have a great group of guys that are eager to work every day, and it makes it, easy for me. It makes it easier for you. And, I just think that this is just a great crew to work with here.
This is fun. I mean, like, and everyone brings something different to the table. Like you got to have your people that are, hosting the pre and post game show. You got all the media stuff that goes on. Obviously, the play-by-play broadcast. I mean, it's not just, if you make it a one-man band, it's going to be a one-man band, and you know what I'm talking about. You go out and, here's, Ricky playing, acoustic at a restaurant, but then all of a sudden, you add, Richie, and then you add Elvis, and then you add, now all of a sudden you got a band.
You got a band now,
It's like, hey, man, there's like 6 dudes over here, like, jamming out, and your lead singer's got a mustache and long hair.
It's like the band Old Dominion. They have that song. I don't want to be a one-man band.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're a big country guy.
Yeah.
Country music fan, and so you're kind of in a hotbed.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
You're in the right state for country music, which is Tennessee, right? And then in this area, Morgan Wallen's from around here, Dolly Parton's from around here, Kenny Chesney's from around here. I mean, some mega stars, and then a lot of other country singers too. Isn't Luke Combs is from somewhere close to here?
Yeah, he's from North Carolina area.
Oh, is he? Okay, but yeah, I mean, it's all
closer
kind of
to here.
Close to here.
Yeah, but it's great. Where I come from, there aren't many country bars. I mean, you come down here, you got Wagon Wheel, which is great. I love that environment. I'm a country fan. And, when you also come down here, Elvis and I were in Cracker Barrel. They play country music, and everywhere you go, you got Nashville, which is about 2.5 hours away on the turnpike or the interstate highway, and everywhere you go, it's country music. And that's what I love. I love the Southern feeling, the Southern hospitality. The Southern food here is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, the food is great. Pizza's still better in Youngstown. I know we talked about
Let's get into this right now. While we're on this podcast, you have said from the outset that pizza in Youngstown is
it's top tier.
And you have not been impressed with local pizza.
No, I have not.
I took you to one place you liked.
Yes.
I mean, what's the difference? I mean, where is Youngstown getting this pizza from that's so good?
It's Italian community. So a lot
Italians.
A lot of old real Italians. Yeah. So there's a big Italian heritage in Youngstown. They have Italian fairs every year. So that's where the pizza comes from, and they all have their own little, mom and pop shops, and I think that's what makes it special. The Papa John's in the Youngstown area isn't doing very well because of all these mom and pop shops,
Really?
and there's only singular shops.
Which I love. I'm going to tell you, I've had a lot of pizza. Papa John's is my, chain pizza place. I do like
great.
Papa John's a lot, but I see what you're saying. You're like, it's like when you go to Chicago and you go to some of the different places up there that do the deep dish. It's different. It's a different level of pizza.
It is. It's a different level, and I'm not saying down here that the pizza is like terrible, but it's just better in Ohio and Youngstown specifically, and I think it's Connecticut, and then I would argue that Youngstown are the top 2 for cities with the best pizza.
What about New York?
New York's solid.
What about Chicago?
I do Chicago for me. I like.
You don't like the deep dish?
I like the deep dish.
You haven't been to the right place. Illuminati's in Chicago.
There.
Woo!
I've been there. That place is great.
One piece though, man.
It's just filling,
It's so big. But then you're like, that you can go in there and get like the personal size, like
Yeah.
it's like basically like one piece of pizza, and then you're like, God, I'm so full. And then like later that night, you're like, why didn't I get the large?
Why didn't I just box it up?
Take it, box it up.
I
take
used
it.
to do that. We used to play when I was at Youngstown. We used to play a team in Chicago, University of Illinois, Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
See the Flames.
Yeah, the Flames.
And
who's their most famous alumni?
I'd say Curtis Granderson.
That's right,
Yeah.
CJ.
Yeah, it's Curtis Granderson. He was actually at the game that I was calling. He was sitting because it's his field. He
Yeah, I know,
donated like
I know.
a bunch of money to the university to build that beautiful field with probably one of the best views in college
Right.
baseball with that skyline in Chicago. But yeah, every time we would go there, I would walk down the road to Lou Malnati's and get a slice. And then I'd probably get one and box it, and then everybody would be trying to pick at it when I'm on the bus because I'd heat it up right before we'd leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd bring the whole box that I had left over on the bus and just
You
eat
were a
it.
target.
Yeah, I was a target. Everybody
Everybody's
looks
like,
at you.
Where I'm stuck on this bus,
Yep.
and I don't have Illuminati's pizza.
No.
You know, I don't have Uno's here, and you're gonna do that. Giordano's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Giordano's. They are actually expanding Giordano's. They have one in Ohio now.
Really?
Surprisingly. It's up in Canton.
All right, let me get to one more thing because we're running out of time. Food-wise, Cincinnati chili. Are you a Cincinnati chili guy? And which one do you like? Are you Gold Star, or are you
Skyline.
which one?
Skyline.
You're a Gold Star guy.
No, they have Skyline in the ballpark there in Cincinnati, which is great.
I like Skyline. Everybody loves Skyline.
Yeah.
Why is Gold Star not as? Why don't people like Gold Stars?
I don't know. I just think Skyline just has a name. It's got the brand.
Are you going with the crowd?
I like it though. You know, I do like it. It's not just because of the crowd. I'm a big cheese guy. I love the cheese they throw on there.
Do you like the
Pounds
little
of it.
conies, or
Yeah.
This like to me it's like spaghetti, but with like a different that chocolatey kind of like sauce. But I love it, man.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of it.
No, I love it too. You know, some people say, "Oh, it's overrated." I'm like, dude, you're out of your mind. Like, Skyline chili's great. You know, I'm a big chili fan. My mom makes great chili, but you know, there's just something special about Skyline because I only have it once in, you know, I don't know, Blue Moon. You know, I never
Right.
have it.
Do you like Blue Moon, like the beer?
Yeah.
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 You a orange slice guy?
No, not usually. No.
They don't do the fruit in
No.
beer. Ben Ingram, the voice of the Braves, good friend. He can't stand fruit in drinks.
Really?
He read a story that the fruit's not good.
So he doesn't like a lime with his
Him and
Corona.
our other friend Taylor, like they just talk every time. I'm a fruit guy. I
Yeah.
don't care. Like
Yeah.
I didn't see the study. I didn't read the study. You know, I want the orange slice on my Blue Moon. You know, like if it's a beer that has like a lemon slice on top, I'm with that. You know, if I get an old fashioned, I better get my orange in
Yeah,
there. My
I can
orange
see
slice.
that, yeah.
I'm you know, like throw it in there for me. I'm gonna take the risk. You know, if it's a Modelo Special, I'm gonna plug the top with lime. So I'm all in.
Yeah, see, you drink a lot more beer than I do. I'm pretty
Well,
simple.
I did. You know, I've on show almost 270 of mixed beer reviews.
Yeah, that's a lot.
By the
It's a
way,
lot of
check
beer.
that out. Hey, and if you like this podcast, I got some other ones. The MLB Baseball Scout podcast, which I've been doing with Tim Wilkin, that is available on YouTube, and then Mixed Beer Review. That's another one.
Yeah.
And this one, Wild Pitches.
I've been on 2 now.
No, yeah.
I'm fortunate.
Yeah, you have.
The beer review is great.
It's fun. We're gonna do it again soon. We got some new brews that have been sent down to us from the Teddemers.
Okay.
So, anyway, guys, Richie, anything else that you want to say before we bid everyone farewell on the podcast world?
Thanks for having me down here. It's been a great experience. I've loved working with you. I love working with Elvis here, and you know,
Are you having fun?
Crew. I'm having a great time. You know, and that's why we do this. You know, traveling across the South, somewhere I've never been before in my life. You know, it's been a great experience for me. I've learned different cultures down here, and you know, it's a different way of life than it is up north. So, and I love it. You know, it's very calm. You know, relaxing down here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back up north, you know, there's some people that aren't the nicest people, and I feel like down here they really do have that, you know, southern comfort and southern hospitality.
Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it when you decided to come here and work? I said we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Have you lived up to that?
That has lived up to
And
it.
almost died on opening day. Thanks to him, though, the broadcast, the show, as they always said, must go on. Hey guys, don't forget to come and hang out with us at Smokies Stadium. Check out the latest at smokiesbaseball.com promotion schedules. Some really fun stuff that we have that will be coming up, and we want you to come and be here as part of that. And don't forget to listen to us or watch us, MLB TV, Bally Sports app, MILB TV. You can always listen on the Sports Animal. Richie Juliano, I'm Mick Gillespie. That's it for Wild Pitches. We have a new show coming up really soon. Go Smokies.